Heard of a courtroom so quiet you could hear your own heart pounding, even when you weren't the one in chains. That was the air the morning Alyssa Grant, tall, poised, black, and cuffed, sat at the defense table, silent, staring just past the judge, her face unreadable, like she'd already stepped out of this moment and into some future nobody else could see. To the public, to the court, to everyone who bothered to look, she was just another defendant. Case number 04831B, accused of assaulting a cop. But nobody in that room, not her harried public defender, not the DA strutting like he was the main act, and definitely not Officer Brent Kessler, the one who put her here, had any clue who she really was, or what was on the line if she broke her silence. Officer Kessler, white, crisp uniform, practiced jaw, badge gleaming, was the picture of law and order on the outside, but you know the type. Smile never quite reaching his eyes, arrogance flickering beneath the surface. He spun his story like he'd done it 1,000 times. How Alyssa attacked him unprovoked, how she was dangerous, aggressive. He stuck to his lines, didn't even sweat. The judge hardly looked up. The DA was performing for the press, and the public defender, well, he barely made an argument at all. Said maybe Alyssa made a mistake. Asked not for justice, but for mercy. Never once did he seem to believe in her innocence, and Alyssa never flinched, not once. But here's the thing no one knew. Alyssa wasn't some scared woman lost in a broken system. She was a covert CIA agent, undercover on a mission that had her walking right up to the line between justice and disaster. Her silence wasn't shame, wasn't surrender. It was strategy, pure steel. Years of operation, lives, national security, all could come tumbling down if her cover blew. So she sat, still as stone, letting the DA turn her quiet into guilt for the jury, letting Kessler bask in the role of victim. Never fighting back, not yet, because she was waiting for the right crack in the wall. You could almost feel the tension, the hush that came from secrets too big to name. Before Alyssa landed in this courtroom, she'd been on the trail of something darker than routine police corruption. Girls gone missing, evidence wiped, officers doing more than just looking away. The file she got from her handler at 3 a.m. was thin but heavy. Arrests, disappearances, footage lost, and at the center, one name, Brent Kessler. His records were clean, but internal affairs files kept getting buried. Alyssa was told, get close, confirm, don't confront. But in this game, plans break quick. The night it turned, she was tailing a lead in a cold warehouse district when Brent appeared, not on a call, not on duty, just lurking. He pulled her out of her car with no pretense, no reason, not even checking her ID. She stayed calm until he went for her door. Then she moved, quick and efficient, enough to disable, not harm. But you know how bruised egos work. Brent filed a report that night, claimed she'd assaulted him, resisted, made up a crime out of thin air. By sunrise, Alyssa was waiting at her handler's desk, sure she'd be extracted. Instead, the call was different. Stay? Let the system play its hand. Not the order she wanted, but the one that mattered. So she vanished in plain sight. Arrested, silent. The media painted her as violent. The docket branded her a defendant, and she waited, not for herself, but for every missing girl, every buried case, for the domino that might finally fall. The trial unfolded like bad theater. Everyone playing their roles, everyone convinced Alyssa's silence meant she was broken. They didn't see her eyes, steady and sharp, tracking every movement, listening for a shift. Even Kessler started to notice, the confidence fading each time their eyes met. But the judge didn't want her voice, dismissed any questions about Brent's past. You'll get your turn, Ms. Grant, he said, like that turn would ever really come. The prosecution painted Alyssa as a threat, hostile, remorseless, unpredictable. The defense argued weakly, poking holes that never really landed. Through it all, Alyssa said nothing, not because she couldn't, but because every word risked too much. She could have exposed Brent right there. How he'd stopped her without cause, tried to intimidate her, lied in his report. But doing so would have blown the entire op, put lives in danger, burned years of work. So she waited, even as the scales tipped against her. Then came the break. 15 minutes, just enough for everyone to breathe. Alyssa stood by her guard, eyes on every exit, mind ticking. That's when Brent sidled up, too close. Low voice meant just for her. I know you're not who you say you are. You're trained, but you're not walking out free. Alyssa didn't blink. Brent thought silence was defeat. He couldn't see it was the setup. The trial resumed, but the air had changed, tighter, brittle. Brent took the stand again, voice raised, eyes locked on Alyssa. He tried to provoke her, tried to get her to break. When she didn't answer, he snapped, stormed across the room, muttered, "You think you're untouchable?" And without warning, struck her hard, right in front of everyone. The gasp from the gallery sucked the breath out of the room. A guard restrained him. The judge called for order, but chaos was loose. Alyssa, still cuffed, rose slowly. Blood at her lip, but her hands steady. She reached inside her jumpsuit, pulled out a slim metal badge, held it high. "You just assaulted a federal asset," her voice calm, ringing out. "Currently engaged in an undercover assignment for the CIA." Silence. This time not hers, but everyone else's. Brent stammered, tried to call her a liar, but the room saw the badge, heard the tone, saw the shift. The judge, shaken, adjourned the hearing for verification. Now the script was flipped. Alyssa wasn't led back in chains, but escorted. No cuffs, no eyes of suspicion. Brent was taken out a side door. No badge now, just a man. In the hallway, a clerk handed Alyssa's lawyer an envelope. 3 prior complaints, all against Brent, all buried, all from black civilians. Suddenly, it wasn't about one punch. It was about a pattern. Within hours, a cell phone video of Brent's attack and Alyssa's badge went viral. Hashtags surged, news trucks arrived, and what was a private shame was now a national scandal. The CIA confirmed Alyssa's identity to the judge. Her detainment was declared unlawful. She walked out free, not with celebration, but a quiet resolve. When her lawyer asked if she'd sue, she shook her head. "I want exposure. I want people to see how this system protects the wrong people." The fallout was instant. Brent suspended, prosecutors investigated. Every case he touched dragged into daylight. The system finally blinked. At his hearing, Brent was stripped of his badge, facing federal charges for assault and perjury. The clerk testified. Officer James admitted he froze. The video replayed again and again. Brent tried to talk his way out, but the room grew smaller around him. Defense became unraveling, arrogance to fear. Alyssa finally spoke, unchained, her voice steady. "I stayed silent not out of fear, but because I thought honoring the system would mean it would honor me back. I was wrong." The panel didn't take long. Brent was out for good, banned from law enforcement, facing prosecution. As Alyssa left, the hearing room rose. Not for justice, not for vengeance, but out of respect for the dignity it took to stand through fire and never burn. She gave reporters only one line: "Tell them I showed up, even when the system didn't." That night, the headlines faded, but her quiet had already changed the story for good. Alyssa didn't seek fame, didn't grant interviews, just sent one final message to her agency. Operation concluded. Subject exposed. Structure cracked. Her story ended not with applause, but with peace, a silver badge and a sealed USB drive, ready to hand back. Her job done. The news cycled on. The world kept spinning, but something deep in the system had shifted, just enough for a little more light to get in.so. Let me ask you, when is silence a virtue, and when does it become a weapon? Would you have done the same in her place? Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for more stories that dig into truth and courage. And remember, sometimes the strongest voice in the room is the one that waits for the right moment to speak.